Trump eyes a Middle East trip as Gaza ceasefire talks reach a critical point. Former President Donald Trump is reportedly considering a high-stakes visit as negotiators in Cairo push for a breakthrough. The timing is crucial. Negotiators are racing to finalize a comprehensive peace plan after months of devastating conflict. Trump's possible involvement, whether as mediator or influential outsider, adds a new, unpredictable element to the process. His reputation as a dealmaker and his history with the Abraham Accords loom large over the talks. Allies claim his unconventional style could break the deadlock, while critics warn he might disrupt fragile progress. For Trump, the motivation could be a genuine desire for peace, or a calculated move to reassert his global relevance. Whatever the reason, his potential arrival has already intensified pressure on all parties. The world is watching to see if this gambit will unlock peace or add volatility to an already explosive situation. News broke that Trump is interested in the ongoing negotiations, sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles and the media alike. With public statements suggesting he could close the deal, Trump has once again thrust himself into the center of international attention, hinting at his trademark confidence and deal-making bravado. His team claims preliminary feelers have been sent out to key players in the region, quietly testing the waters to see if there's genuine interest in his involvement. Surprisingly, some regional actors appear receptive, intrigued by the possibility of a new approach, and perhaps hoping Trump's unconventional style could break the deadlock. Trump's camp frames this as an offer of assistance from a private citizen with unique experience, not interference in official diplomacy, emphasizing his outsider status as an asset rather than a liability. They point to the Abraham Accords as proof of his ability to broker historic agreements, highlighting his administration's record of bringing unlikely parties to the table. The message is clear. Trump is willing and able to help, projecting confidence and readiness to step in if called upon. However, nothing is confirmed, and the details remain deliberately vague. A spokesperson says Trump is closely monitoring the situation, but has no finalized travel plans or scheduled meetings, leaving his next move open to interpretation. This ambiguity is strategic. Trump can claim a stake in the process without making any binding commitments, keeping his options open while maintaining leverage. The announcement serves as a trial balloon, carefully gauging reactions from Washington, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and Arab capitals, as well as from the broader international community. The mere possibility of his involvement has already impacted the talks, forcing the current U.S. administration to respond and recalibrate their own diplomatic strategies. Some analysts believe influencing the talks from afar is the primary goal, allowing Trump to shape the narrative and outcomes without direct engagement. By inserting himself into the conversation, Trump ensures he remains part of the story, keeping his profile high both at home and abroad. His statements remind regional leaders of past dealings and signal his continued relevance, suggesting that his influence in the region is far from over. It's a classic Trump play, blending policy, politics, and personality to capture global attention, and ensuring that, whether as a negotiator or a disruptor, his presence is impossible to ignore. This round of ceasefire talks stands out as truly remarkable, not just for its urgency, but for the sheer breadth of nations involved. For the first time, an unprecedented coalition has come together, representing a wide spectrum of interests and backgrounds. An impressive array of Arab and Muslim countries, including influential Gulf states and key North African nations, have joined forces in a unified call to end the violence that has gripped the region for far too long. Their collective involvement signals a major shift in regional dynamics. This time, the push for peace is not being imposed from outside, but is emerging organically from within the region itself. The ongoing humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, coupled with the looming threat of a wider regional war, has galvanized these nations into urgent action, making their cooperation more critical than ever. Their unified presence in Cairo sends a powerful and unmistakable message to the world. The entire region is now deeply invested in finding a lasting solution to this crisis. If a deal is reached, it will be backed by a powerful bloc, offering not just political support, but also economic resources and security guarantees that could help stabilize the situation. This shared sense of responsibility and commitment could provide the foundation for a more durable and lasting peace, one that addresses the root causes of conflict. Former President Trump's relationships with several coalition leaders, forged during the Abraham Accords, could play a pivotal role in either solidifying the group's unity or, conversely, risk fracturing it, given his often divisive legacy in the region. The question remains, would his involvement help unify this fragile consensus, or would it introduce new tensions that could disrupt the delicate balance? Ultimately, the coalition's strength and its vulnerability will play a decisive role in shaping the outcome of these historic talks, and perhaps the future of peace in the Middle East. At the heart of the Cairo talks is a detailed 20-point plan, a blueprint for a phased ceasefire and long-term resolution. The initial phase focuses on halting military operations and exchanging hostages for Palestinian prisoners, aiming to build trust. Even these first steps are fraught with technical and political challenges, from prisoner ratios to verification mechanisms. Later phases address troop withdrawal, humanitarian aid, and Gaza's future governance, each a major hurdle. Every detail is under intense scrutiny as negotiators race to finalize the plan. The success of the entire agreement hinges on resolving these granular practical issues. Analyst Alan Fisher sees Trump's potential visit as a calculated move to pressure negotiators, signaling, "Get a deal done, or I will." Fisher argues that Trump's mere presence on the world stage can act as a catalyst, pushing all parties to accelerate their efforts, knowing that the spotlight and the stakes have suddenly grown much larger. A successful intervention would let Trump claim a foreign policy victory and boost his global credentials. It would allow him to present himself as a deal-maker not just at home, but on the international stage, potentially reshaping his legacy and influencing future diplomatic efforts. For Trump, the optics of brokering peace or progress could be as valuable as the substance itself. This puts the current U.S. administration in a bind: welcome his help and risk being overshadowed, or reject it and face criticism for not being open to outside solutions. The administration must weigh the political costs of either embracing or distancing themselves from Trump's involvement, knowing that every move will be scrutinized by both domestic and international audiences. The dynamic creates a parallel negotiation in the realm of public perception and politics. Media outlets dissect every statement, amplifying tensions and shaping narratives that can influence the actual talks. The battle for public opinion becomes almost as important as the negotiations themselves. Trump's gambit forces Washington to carefully calibrate its response, avoiding a public feud that could distract from the talks. Officials must tread carefully, balancing the need for unity with the risk of appearing divided or distracted at a critical moment. On the other hand, Palestinian affairs expert Isef Maner warns that Trump's involvement could deepen mistrust. Maner points out that the region's history with U.S. mediation is fraught, and Trump's reputation adds another layer of complexity. Many Palestinians view his past policies as biased toward Israel, making him a problematic mediator. This perception could harden positions, making compromise even more elusive and fueling skepticism about the process. Maner fears Trump's presence could alienate Palestinian leaders and shift focus from substance to spectacle. Instead of building trust, his involvement might turn the talks into a media event, undermining the careful groundwork laid by diplomats. Some diplomats worry the talks could become the Trump show, overshadowing the painstaking technical work. The risk is that the real issues get lost amid the headlines and soundbites, with long-term solutions sacrificed for short-term attention. The risk, personality and politics could derail a fragile process. With so much at stake, even a small misstep could unravel months of progress. The pressure is on all sides, not just the negotiators, but also the mediators and the White House. Every decision, every statement, is magnified under the global spotlight, raising the stakes for everyone involved. The outcome may hinge on whether substance or spectacle prevails. In the end, the world will be watching to see if real progress is made, or if the process is consumed by politics and personalities. The prisoner and hostage exchange is the emotional core of the 20-point plan, scheduled for the first phase. Palestinians fear Israel and the U.S. won't follow through on later phases once hostages are released, citing a history of broken promises. They demand ironclad guarantees from Israel and the international community to ensure the full plan is honored. Israelis face domestic pressure to bring hostages home, but strong opposition to releasing large numbers of Palestinian prisoners. Both sides are deeply divided, making flexibility difficult and the exchange precarious. The trust deficit is the greatest obstacle to this crucial first step. For Israelis, the top priority is the safe return of hostages and an end to rocket fire. Hopes shadowed by fears of emboldening militants and future insecurity. Many worry that releasing prisoners could pose new threats and that any ceasefire may be only temporary. For Palestinians, the hope is for an end to violence, free flow of aid, and the chance to rebuild shattered lives. The release of prisoners and lifting of the Gaza blockade are central aspirations. Yet fears persist that the deal will collapse, that promised aid and freedom won't materialize, and that the world's attention will fade. Both sides fear trading short-term relief for long-term uncertainty. The stakes are deeply personal and existential for millions. The outcome will shape lives and futures on both sides of the border. The rewards of a successful ceasefire are immense, but failure could be catastrophic. If talks collapse, fighting will likely resume with greater ferocity, deepening the humanitarian crisis. Hostages and prisoners would face renewed uncertainty, fueling anger and unrest. The diplomatic fallout could harden regional positions and damage the credibility of mediators. A failed deal risks igniting a wider regional war, drawing in more actors and destabilizing the Middle East. The world is watching not just for Gaza's sake, but to prevent a broader conflagration. The stakes extend far beyond the immediate conflict zone. As negotiations reach their climax, the path forward is uncertain and the pressure immense. Trump's potential trip remains a wild card. Could he catalyze peace or unravel fragile progress? His next move is watched as closely as the talks themselves. If a deal is reached, the first test will be the prisoner exchange. Its success or failure will set the tone for what follows. The international coalition must verify compliance and ensure aid and reconstruction materialize. Signing a deal is just the beginning of a long, arduous journey. The outcome will have consequences far beyond Israel and Palestine, potentially shaping regional stability and global security. A breakthrough could provide a model for conflict resolution. Failure could plunge the region into deeper chaos. The world is watching because the stakes are global. The fate of millions hangs on the choices made in the coming days.